Well, hello. Welcome to another Ziti TV. Today is October 25th, 2024, and I'm back. It's been a minute. We didn't have any ZD TVs at all during September. It's been a busy time here working on the Open ZD project. Lots of stuff going on. New forum members asking good questions, all kinds of things happening. So, what are we doing today? Well, today it's going to be another working session slash office hours. We had a few discourse users, one of which was a bit confused. I didn't have a particular topic for today's ZDTV. And so I thought, hey, I'll do an office hours slash help out the discourse people. So that's what I'm doing today. We are live. If you haven't noticed, if you have any questions, do let us know or let me know. Oof, look at that. It is an office hours. So if you have a question, ask a question. You'll get an answer. I guarantee you'll get an answer as long as I see the chat, which reminds me, let me open up the old chat screen. Okay, so first order of business is Nay. Nay's out on the discourse here and saying, having a hard time. I tried to do a thing. Let's see, what was the thing that Nay tried to do? Let's go to the top here. Creating a small test lab at home. They have a Windows laptop. What a coincidence. I run Windows, so that's great. Connect to a Linux controller and edge router where they ran it using the OpenZD Host It Anywhere Quick Start. That's great because it'll dovetail really nicely into another forum member who saw the ZDTV post and requested. Let's go back and find the other. Yeah, here it is. The other user, Colin, said, can we incorporate OpenZD Host It Anywhere and include it in an AWS server? Sure, we can do all these things. In fact, this is the primary way I have a test instance on the internet. You'll often see me referencing it. This is the primary way that I do it. And it says not using Docker for the web service. Sure. So we do these things. And Nay out here is, let's see, I think connecting to Debian, if I remember. Yeah, Debian. So we'll do a bunch of things. I am here. I am live, so ask questions. First things first, Debian, Linux, it doesn't particularly matter what variant you're using, assuming the quick start will work for you. And that's it's not the biggest of assumptions. It's only a minor assumption. Let's get a terminal window because we're going to need a terminal window. And so the first thing I'll do is I will SSH to my Amazon machine out in the cloud. And once I'm out here, I will stop, systemctl stop ZD controller. I'll do that as sudo so that it works. And ZD router. All right. And then we'll do a ps -ef. Look for any ZD processes, and we'll see that there are no ZD processes. Cool. So let's go ahead and run the express express. Okay, we don't have an express install under history. Cool. Let's just go back and look at the docs. We'll go under quick starts, and we'll go under network, and we'll go under host OpenZD anywhere. Now, these are quick starts. And I will preface this because they're meant to get you going, and they're not necessarily a rigorous, rigid production install. If you are interested in that sort of install, come down to guides and find deployments. Under deployments, you'll find some various ways to deploy OpenZD. You won't see Windows on here. It's going to be Linux only. And so under Linux, here's how you would install the controller, how you would install the router, etc. So there is extra information out there, but we were talking about the quick starts. So let's go through the quick starts. In fact, let's go back to the OpenZD overlay diagram that is woefully out of date, needs to get updated because it just looks a little dated nowadays. But it's a good diagram because it shows you what we're going to do. We're going to have a controller and we're going to have an edge router out in the internet. And those are the only two things that we're going to have. We're not going to have extra edge routers. We're just going to have the minimalist of minimal OpenZD overlay installations, and that is an edge router and a controller. And so to do that, we're going to need, let's see, where's my mouse? You can see it. Yeah. We're going to need a port somewhere out on the internet that a client can connect to. And we don't need a second port for routers to connect to it. But if you have a mesh, like is shown in this diagram here, you'll actually need additional ports. And also the quick start being a thing that's geared toward learning, it is a bit, I'll just say extra. It's a bit extra, as the kids would say. It separates all of the ports, it separates all of the PKI, and it's complicated, showing you all of the options in what should be a relatively easy way of consuming it. But then, since all the options are set, you can see how all of the different things play together. You can play with it, you can break it. And so host it, all the quick, oh, let's go back to the quick starts now. So we got to actually, what I'll do is I'll leave this diagram in a new window so we can come back to it whenever we need to. I guess that does all the tabs. We don't want to do all the tabs. Let's go back to network, host OpenZD anywhere. I know I'm guilty of this. And if you are too, it's okay because I'm guilty of this. But make sure you read everything, because some of the important bits in here is actually right at the beginning about this firewall. It tells you what ports there are and what ports need to be open. And so these ports are all really important and all need to be open. And in fact, it's actually missing one. It's missing the router link port, which for a quick start shouldn't be all that interesting and important, but it might be for you. But there actually is a fourth port. I think it's 10080 that is important for when you want to form your mesh overlay. But these ports are important and they need to be available. So whatever your cloud provider is, I'm not going to go into the Amazon console and show you how to whitelist these ports, but you do need to make sure these ports are available. These are also different than our default sets of ports. So if you follow the deployment guide, it uses whatever the OpenZD default ports are. That's 1280 instead of 8441. It's also going to be 1280 for the control plane, because the deployments will deploy it in a fewer ports, but only one port necessary way, which is nice because you only have to open one port instead of opening four, right? And those are the two ports that you'll find in the deployments, and these are the two ports you'll find in the quick related to the controller. And then there'll be two ports related to the router, and this are the host it anywhere quick start. You can use any, do not matter. I wrote this way back in the day. I just chose these because they're in the 80,000 range, and oftentimes 8443, as you can see for Zach, is the enabled port that you're deploying, quote unquote, your applications. So that's why it's there. All right. We go down and we see the express install is a big pile of bash. So if you don't know what it does, you can just go and read it. And that was always the intention behind it. Now, I acknowledge it's a big pile of bash, right? Like there's a bunch of bash in there. So you're probably not going to read it all. But if you ever are interested, you can take and run each and every single line and learn from this bash command. And so in here, you'll find the function express install. And you'll see what the express install does. It sees if it's done. It gives you, you've already run this. Do you want to delete it all? And it just does a whole bunch of stuff. All right. And that's what the express install will do. There are some important prerequisites. The express installs use this external DNS variable, and it's expected to be exported, which means your sub processes will be able to see that particular value. All right. If you set this value, you got to change this one. So you'll see, actually, let's go back and I will SSH back to my machine, because I run this so much that I added a little thing to check what my Amazon machine name was. And if we let's see tail, let me do it on another window just in case I have something hidden in here I shouldn't show on camera. SSH back to CD AWS and cat the bash RC. And then I'm going to find there's a curl in here somewhere that is cool because Amazon has this discovery endpoint that you may or may not know about. So you can curl to this non-routable IP address inside of Amazon, and it'll return back to you your host name, which is cool. So this is the public host name that Amazon gives you. Not every cloud provider does this. This is an Amazon specific thing. And so when I log in, I echo the external DNS by getting the public host name from the metadata that Amazon provides. And so this is my external DNS entry. So let's come over to here and we see I've got to set this external DNS equals, and then I need something I can copy right there, equals that. So I'm going to do this at home while I do this in Amazon because one of the forum users was doing it at home and one of them was doing it inside of Amazon. So if I flip over to my Debian virtual machine, which you'll see here, can I make it bigger? I can't make it bigger. Control plus. Okay. Well, that's going to be the size you get. I don't know how to make it bigger. Preferences. Let's see. Fonts. Where's the font? Profile shortcuts. How do I embiggen the font? Terminal, read-only tabs. No, I don't want that. I just want to make it bigger. Preferences, show details, global. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, hopefully that's legible. And if it's not legible, let me know and I'll just read what it says. In this little window there, you'll see this is my Debian home machine. So if I type host name, you'll see it's called Deb12. I honestly do not know if Deb12 is available from my Windows computer. So I'll bring up a command prompt and I'll put that here. There's going to be lots of terminals. If anybody gets lost, let me know. And I'll ping Deb12. Oh, look at that. I get a reply. Cool. So when you make a virtual machine, one of the things that you can do, depending on what I use, Oracle's VirtualBox. But one of the things you can do is you can set up your network so that it's in bridged mode. And if you set it up in bridged mode, it's nice because then any machine on your network, well, depending on how your network is set up, but probably will be able to access that virtual machine. So if I go to I have a bunch of computers. One of them is an M1 Mini. It's sitting over there. Over here, I should be able to ping Deb12 as well. And so thankfully, they both get the same IP address, whether it's in Windows or if it's in M1 Mini. And so Deb12 is the name of my external, and I'm working external in quotes, the externally routable DNS name. And so that's going to be the name that I set as my advertised address. But host names are special. So I don't want to use Deb12. Notice what the Mac returns. The Mac OS, the M1 Mini, it shows you the search domain suffix. And so does Windows, I think. Yeah, Windows does the same thing. So on my home network, I have a domain, Park Place via DHCP. So that IP address was assigned via DHCP and it comes from my router. And I just set this up. That is going to be my external DNS entry. Oh, I didn't copy it. Copy this, paste this. All right. And let's do it right. There we go. All right. So now I've set that. That is the most important thing out of everything. You got to get that right because what will happen when you run all the rest of this, and I'm going to just copy and paste from here because once you've done that, it's literally copy, paste. Why that's important is because when OpenZiti has its PK, when the Express install, when it creates the PKI, which you can see, I saw it right here, it's going to use that name and it's going to stuff it into the DNS. Where is DNS inside of here? DNS. into the DNS list. And if you add an IP, it'll add an IP as well. But here it is. This is what I was looking for. So here is where your PKI gets this DNS entry added to it. And it's really, really important. You can't mess that step up. And I can't emphasize that enough. Once you have Express install set up correctly, then on every Linux machine, you can just copy that block, paste that block, and hit enter. All right. And now you have all of the environment variables set up that you're going to need for the next step. Where's my, I got to go back and find my, my Amazon machine. Just one second. Is it this one? Yeah. So, all right, let's make the windows smaller. So now I'm going to do it on my Linux machine at home. I'm going to do it on my, this is on the right is my Linux machine at home. On the left is my Amazon machine. And so after I've set all those variables up, I'm just going to I'm going to source the script. Disclaimer, always read the script before you source it. Best practice, right? You're sourcing code from the internet. But I'm not going to, because I wrote it, or most of it anyway. This will overwrite the existing file. Continue. I think that'll work out just fine. We'll find out. Yeah, so it doesn't always. All right, that's what I wanted to see. Let's see. rmrf.zd. That's what I wanted to do. And then actually, let's exit. And let's SSH back there. And now let's source. And I didn't set my variables. See, that's a good thing. So I wanted to clean everything up. And so what I did was I removed my .zd directory. And then I exited my shell and I went back again. And when you do that, and it's easy to forget, you've got to export your external DNS again. That's an IP address. Let's do this the right way. Where is the external? There it is. So export external DNS equals paste. All right. Then we go back over to here. We copy this and we paste that. And we copy this and we paste that. Now, the Express install will ask you if you want to keep that big old password. I'm going to just say yes and let it go. So that's my big old password. I'm going to do the same thing here at home. And so now these things are going to chug. They'll download a ZD CLI. It'll unzip it. It'll put it into a location. It'll tell you, I've already run this on here too. rmrf.zd unset zdenv, and then source it and run it and say yes. Okay. And so it does do a quick port check. You can see that it did that right here. If your ports are not available, it'll tell you that those ports are not available. Also interesting, did I set my variables? I'm surprised to see 6262. I must not have copied these things. That's fine. It'll be fine. All right, where is this? Okay, so now this is complete. Let's come back over to here, and we're waiting for this to be done. So now I should be able to run ZD login, which is a function that is provided by the quick start. If you look in here for ZD login, it is simply an alias for this command. So I can run that command with a quote on it, probably without a quote on it. And then with the ZD, where ZD is. So where does it put it? It puts it into .zd quick start IP and ZD bin, I think. Yeah. And then ZD 115 and ZD. All right. So that's where my ZD binary is. Or I can type ZD login. So when I type ZD login, it says the connection was refused. Oh, I haven't finished the quick start. That's right. Right. All right. So everything's installed, but I didn't create a systemd file. So again, I'm just going to copy and paste these things because you can literally copy it, paste it, and then well, this one you can't copy because it doesn't have all the okay, no, that's right. This is the example output. See, it's important that you read. I caught myself again. I didn't read. This is the output. So that's what we should have seen. Yeah, that's what we should have seen. And then these are helper functions. You don't particularly need them. I like to use systemd, so I will copy this block. and I'll run this block. And what this will do is it will create a ZD controller service and a ZD router service, which then let you run this. No, come on, stop. Copy the right thing. Which then lets you run this command, which will tell you the status of your instances. And you can see both are active and running. And then basically you're done. And so if I echo my $ZD password now, you can see this is big long thing. I should be able to ZD edge login dash, let's do local host 8441. User is admin, password is that. And I gotta put that on my path. Let's go find where is another good trick for you. If you have sourced the ZD, the CLI helpers, you can run get ZD and it'll get ZD. But if you add a minus, is it minus Y or is it yes? If you add a yes to it, it will add ZD to your path, which is handy. And then you can run ZD and it will let you, it'll find ZD on the path. And so there we go. I've got a whole overlay network set up on one environment. And over here, I should be able to type ZD login. And 12. Oh, I didn't do the rest of it. I got to set up the systemd stuff. Come over to here. We'll create our systemd unit files. Paste. And take this off screen for the moment and shrink this. And we will run this one command to enable the systemd units and reload them. Do all the needfuls. All right, cool. Now we can do ZD login, and you can see I've logged in. And so I've run 2 Express installs on 2 different machines, one entirely locally, this one that you see right here, and then this one right here that you see right here up in the cloud inside of Amazon land. All right, so 2 Express installs are done. Now let's go back and look at the question, because I think what we wanted to do was actually use this thing. And so I have a Windows machine right here. I have a bunch of identities. I'm gonna actually turn all these off right now, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna back up my my identities. Just give me 1 second. Windows, and we'll go to this location and we'll make a new backup for October 25th. And then I'll just take all this stuff and slam it into there and turn on my tunneler. And so now when I've done all that, I'll have no identities in my ZD Desktop Edge for Windows. It's this thing right here in case anybody's lost. On my home computer, I have the, if I echo the external DNS, I didn't set it, did I? Well, that's a bummer. Well, that's okay. So that's fun. Let's find out what ping deb12, right? Deb12, where's a command prompt? Where is a command prompt? Ping deb 12, because that's my local machine. All right. Let's find out what kind of overlay network I created when I ran this locally and see if I screwed it up. That's actually on port 1280. When you attach to an OpenZD overlay, it's always going to have a self-signed certificate. You will always see this unless you get more advanced and get into the alternative server certs situation. But we can inspect our certificate details, and we can come down and we can see the, where is it? I always have a hard time finding it with this new UI. The subject alternate name. Where is it in here? Certificate subject alternative names. Okay. So you can see I forgot to set my external DNS when I did the Debian install. Shame on me. And because I did, the quick start just takes your host name, adds localhost, and adds 127.0.0.1. And that's fine and dandy. But if you access the server with the extra domain information, .parkplace, it's not valid. And OpenZD will know better. So what I'm going to do, rmrf, actually, sudo systemctl stop ZD router controller rmrf.zd. And then I'm going to do the export external DNS equals paste. And then I'm going to source and run express install all over again. And then we'll let this thing just go through and chug. And when it's done, I'm going to have to start. I've already set up the systemd unit files, so I'll have systemd services declared. So I'll be able to just systemctl stop and start, waiting for deb12. That is not the external. I didn't set the external address. All right, rmrf.zd. So you can see how easy it is to screw up. So if you screwed it up, don't feel bad, because I've done this a million times and screwed it up a million times. All right, now let's run that express install. I bet this will be better. There we go. Oh, no, it still looks like it's incorrect. I'm expecting to see, yeah, there we go. deb12.parkplace via DHCP. That's what I wanted to see. And it's like watching paint dry. I'm sorry about that. Looks like I goofed something up. So it usually doesn't take very long. And so if it's taking this long, there's a good chance that it's not, something is not quite right. So I'm going to run sslntp to see what it's listening on. And I can see that it's not running. And it's not started. Why didn't it start? So I ran everything. Let's do a systemctl start zd controller sudo. And then does this come back now? What is going on? HTTPS. Why is it redirecting me? All right, so it's not running. All right, so I've done something wrong in the Debian land. All right, it's time to pull the ripcord, rmrf.zd, one more time. Sudo systemctl stop. Where is this lag coming from? zd controller, sudo system control stop, zd router, systemctl status, zd controller. It says it's enabled, inactive. Good. ll.zd. Okay, good. And then echo $external DNS. Good. Echo $. No. What's the setting? Oops. What is the setting? Nope, this one. Paste. Okay, good. All right, express install. What did I forget? Again, I'm not copying and pasting all the commands, so I'm trying to speed it up because I'm already 28 minutes into this. All right, come on. Work for me this time. All right, so it ran should have run start controller here. Oh, you know why? I bet I know why. I bet you this machine can't resolve this particular entry, can it? Ping. No, why didn't you copy? Copy. Ping. No, 127.0.0.1. It can. What? All right, so now we got to look at the log. This is the init log. And then where is the actual log? I thought there was a message in here for the actual log. I have copy on select in my other terminal, but not on this one apparently. Initialization complete. Why is this taking forever? Well, I admit I'm stumped as to why that's a problem. Let's see if we have any ZD services. PS, come on, EF, pipe grep, ZD. Any ZD running? So we don't have anything ZD running. So something seems to have not started in here. All right, at this point, I'm going to dump this terminal and I'm going to make a brand new one. rmrf.zd, exit. and echo $external DNS. It's not set. Export external DNS equals deb12.park place via DHCP. And then we got to do got to get all these again. Paste. Now get these. Paste. That looks better. Yes, I want to keep that. Must have been some variable set. I must have been hitting some bug because I don't remember getting the admin prompt again, but I got the admin prompt this time. So there must have been some sort of problem that I don't understand. And that's why I dumped the whole terminal, because when I dump the terminal, it clears my environment. So I don't have to worry about having previous settings set. Now let's see if it gets past this. Okay. I don't know. I can't tell you what I did differently, but that definitely worked. So sudo systemctl start ZD controller and ZD router. And now psef pipe grep z grep. How about grep ZD? Okay. Well, I'm sorry it took so long. I don't know what I did wrong, but cool. I love live debugging like that. Now what I want to do is I'm actually another person, I think maybe, I don't know which one, but somebody said, hey, the ZD CLI doesn't exist on my local computer. I do recommend you get the ZD CLI. If you have PowerShell, there is another get ZD command that you can run. Where is that? On my PowerShell, right there. You can run this right here. And let me see, I'll put that into the chat if you're interested. And then you can tell it where you wanted to put it. You can let it put it wherever it wants to put it. And PowerShell, it'll go download it and get a ZD for you and ask you if you want to add it to your path. You say yes. You type ZD. Now you have ZD on your path. It's always nice to test your network. So I will do a ZD ops verify traffic. And I don't want to do local host. In this case, I want to do deb12.parkplace via DHCP and port 8441. Username is admin. It's going to ask me for my password, echo $. Because I ran the quick start, my password is here. You can also grep ZD password, your ZD quick start, and then whatever your host name is, environment variables. This folder and file is out there, and it'll tell you what your password is right here too. And so I'll paste in that password, and it'll tell me it's trying to connect to the user, and it can't because it's unauthenticated, and it's because it didn't copy, because I don't have copy on select over there. And there we go. And you can see verify network succeeded. If verify network doesn't succeed, and it's always great to run that from a different environment, because when you run it from localhost, like everything always has localhost added to it by default. So it's better to run it from another machine like I just did here. And so now I've just tested my ZD network from my Windows machine. And so what I can do a ZD Edge login, deb12.parkplace via DHCP, a username of admin, a password of paste, and -y. Just says, do you really want ZD Edge? Edge. And it told me it wouldn't connect to 440. Oh, yeah, because it doesn't connect to 443. It's got to connect to 8441. And there we go. Now it says I logged in. I can do a ZD Edge list identities and see that I have 2 identities. And so now ZD Edge create identity. Let's go with deb12 clint -o for output the token file to deb. Let's go to temp:/c:/temp deb12 clint.jwt. I'm going to make an identity, call it Debian Clint, send the token file to a place that I can get at it, and then add that identity. And so now when I do that, presto, I have an identity. All right. At the same time, why don't we do the same thing out here in Amazon land? So ZD Edge list identities, ZD Edge create identity. This is AWS Clint. And then this is going to be -o AWS Clint.jwt. However, this I created back on Amazon land. So you also notice I use Windows subsystem for Linux, and I mount my C colon inside of the WSL console. So from here, I can SCP CD AWS, and it's called, what did I call it? AWS Clint.jwt to dot. And so I can go and I can get that JWT file, bring it back to my local machine, C:\temp, AWS Clint.jwt. And now I have two identities added to my tunneler, one to my local network here in this Debian world, one to my Amazon network. AWS, I guess is a better word for it. All right, so that's all that. Now, I think that's most everything. We haven't added a second router yet. We'll get to that. Let's make a service first. And so one of the ones I like to make is a service that lets me get to the management API. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, do I have the ZAC installed on these? I don't think I do. So let's go ahead and let's install the ZAC next. Let's see, console services, right here, console. And then here, what you're going to want to do is get the latest download from GitHub. And so copy this, paste this, and what you'll see is it'll just put it wherever you are. LL console, ZD console. Yeah, right there. All right, and August 7th. So it's RM ZD console star. And let's W get that. And now if I LL ZD console, you can see I just pulled that down. I'll do the same thing back in Amazon land, CD AWS, and I will do the wget. All right, that's all that. And now it says source your environment file. Now, remember, I have left this console and came back again. When you do that, you need to source this to get the environment variables back onto your into your shell. And when you do that, you should be able to then type export home. Oops. Export ZD home. What does that do? Export ZD home. I wasn't sure. It should say echo ZD home. That is a bug I should fix. And it should say $ZD home. There we go. That's quite the bug. That doesn't do anything. I wanted to export it or to echo it so that you know it's set. And then you can unzip -d to that folder like this. And then once you're done, you should be able to copy this, go to your controller's config file. So that is under, in this case, .yaml. Let's make it just a tiny bit bigger so you can see the path. And this is in Amazon land. You go to the end and you'll see all this is down there. And just so happens, it looks pretty much identical, except one says console, one says ZAC, because Ken and I can't agree on what they should say. So I probably should say ZAC. Let's see. What did it unzip it to? I'm going to have to find out here in a second. Where did it unzip it? Yeah, it unzipped it to ZAC. All right. And now if I do a system cdl restart ZD controller sudo. Now I should, what's my echo external DNS again? External DNS. This is why I put it there. Now I should be able to go to https://paste 8441/ZAC. And I should get the admin console. I can already tell I'm going to. Cool. So I do. Now I do an echo ZD password. Don't log in, all right? Admin, paste. And I'm in the ZD admin console out in Amazon land. Let's do the same thing, but let's do it from here in local Debian land. Shouldn't surprise you, but it'll be all the same steps. Paste, copy, paste, and then vi.zd deb quick start deb.yaml. Go to the bottom, delete, change console to Zach, right quit, sudo systemctl restart ZD controller. And now I should be able to do new tab and go to deb12 dot, yep, right there, perfect. And then 8441/Zach. It is yep, okay, advanced, proceed, cancel, admin, and then echo $ZD pwd is this, and paste and log in. Login failed. That's the right password, right? Login failed on. Let's see if this is some sort of browser issue. Park place. That's 1280. I want 8441/Zach. Let's see. Does ZD login work? Okay, ZD login works. So that means I should be able to grep ZD pwd from ZD identity quick start. Come on, quick start. Debian.env. Is this the same password? Admin. Paste. Well, that is shocking. Why does that? I wonder if Ryan's watching. Ryan, what did I do wrong? Let's do an F12 and let's see what this says. F12 brings up dev tools. Unable to log into the selected controller, unauthorized. Well, I'm going to type that password in and I'm going to log in manually. ZD Edge login. That is the password. What is, I don't know what's going on. Delete, paste, enter. Well, apparently copy buffers are a problem for me today because I just copied and pasted the same thing. What is going on? Copy, delete, paste, enter. All right, I don't know. I swear, copy buffers and me are just not a friends. Anyway, so now I've deployed my Zach locally. I've gotten the whole overlay running. It's only taking me 40 minutes of explaining it and doing it in 2 different places. Okay, so that's all that. Let's go ahead and make that service again. I'm going to make it with the Zach this time because it is a bit more user-friendly, particularly since our good friend Ryan, shout out to Ryan out there, has made a nice new simple service. Simple, advanced, it refers to the flow that you're going to go through. The simple service, the Zach will do a bunch of things on your behalf, very friendly. It'll make a config for your intercept. It'll make a config for your host. It'll make a service, and then it'll also give you 2 service policies. It'll do all that if you click simple. If you go advanced, it's up to you. So we'll go ahead and click this, and we'll say local management MGMT API. Doesn't matter what you call it. I'll make it a bit bigger. Service attributes, we're going to leave this blank for now. It's a bit, you can get into that afterwards. Which identities can access this service? So this is all about what identities are going to be able to actually connect to this. I'm in the Amazon environment. Actually, let's do them both at the same time. Hopefully there won't have to be any copying and pasting. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. Services plus simple. And let's see. There's a copy. Hey, I did it. All right, copy and a paste. Which identities? We want Amazon Clint to be able to access this one, and we want Debian Clint to be able to access this one. Let's tile them side by side like this. How will the service be accessed? This means what's the intercept? So we'll call this the Amazon or aws.zd.mgmt. Totally fictitious. You can make, banana pasta. You can call it whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. And then what port? I'm going to use 443 because I feel spicy. You can use whatever port you want to use. What identities can host this service? Now, this is a little mind map, right? Here, what we're doing is we are creating where is my mouse? Right here. we're creating a service. In this view, it would be this right-hand thing. This side is my SDK. It's my ZD Desktop Edge for Windows. It's going to connect to my controller and then offload from the router. Sorry, it's going to connect to a router and then offload to this service. And this service, I'm actually going to point it back to the controller. So even though the API for the management API is public right now, you can make it private. And we can do that some other time, or you can go back and look at a video. I've done it like 100 times. But we're going to actually make this service. It can have any DNS name that you want, and we're going to point it back, basically point it back to itself. And so in this one, I'm going to call it AWS management. And then over here, we're going to call it Deb12. Actually, yeah, Deb12 management. And let's do 888. Let's do 8888 over here. Which identities can host this service? In this case, you don't want default admin. You don't want Amazon. You want your router, because you want the router to be the one that offloads to your service. So let's pick the router on both edge router. And now it's going to say, where is the destination? Where should the traffic go? 127.0.0.1, port 8441. And that's true for both of them. Okay, so we're going to intercept any fictitious domain that we want and point it back to localhost 8441, basically proxying that traffic through a zero trust overlay. Click the button. It says it's done. It made all the things. Ooh, Ryan, fun little bug there, buddy. If I zoom, look, that save button goes away. Okay, so that's an interesting CSS issue. Click save on this. And now you'll see I've saved everything. And hopefully by this time, if I flip over to my tunneler, which is right here, ta-da, we see two services, one for Amazon, one for Debian 12. And now you can't zoom this UI. So the only way that you're going to be able to get it in a reasonable way is to go into the details like I just did. But I should be able to go to https:// paste. And when I do that, I get the version of, oh, yeah, I probably should have done that over here because it's tied to the Dev12. So this is the API. So we're done. Like, we did it, right? Like, that's all there is to it. We just made a service protected by OpenZiti that went through my local tunneler and went to a server out in the cloud somewhere. And we'll do the same thing on this side for the Amazon side. Again, it's just easier to copy that URL out of here because maybe you'll find it easier on your own, but https:// hello. Okay, thank you. Proceed, cancel. And there we go. And you can see this API is from EC12 and this API is from Deb12. And so we've done a whole bunch right there, right? We've deployed 2 overlay networks, not just one, because why do one when you can do 2? And we've created a user. We used the ZAC to create the user. And actually, I used the ZD CLI, didn't I? I didn't use the ZAC. Let's go back and let's use the ZAC to create that user, because you can do it from here as well. Identities and identities. Click plus, and I can say Clint user 2, and we'll call this AWS Clint 2. Let's call it Deb Clint 2. Click save, download the JWT, put it in the temp folder. Yep, download this JWT, put it in the temp folder. I'm going to go back to my identity, and I'm going to, hopefully the chat works. I don't know if anybody's tried to message or not, but I haven't seen any, so hopefully there are no questions. And that's a visual bug. Ugh. Let's close the UI, start the UI back up. Come on, start the UI back up. Click on this and forget this identity. Add the identity back. Let's see, this is called AWS Clint, I think. Geez, I don't remember what I called it. Yeah, AWS Clint 2 and AWS Clint 2 and Deb Clint 2. And now notice they have no services, right? You've got to give them services. So before I made that simple service, you can go through that whole process again if you want, but you don't need to. Now you can go to services, So policies. And in the policies, you'll see there's a bind policy, and it grants users abilities. One of the abilities is to host the service. One of the abilities is to access the service, and one of the abilities, or one of the fields, maps what service is which. This you can see is a bind policy. So the bind policy is the host policy. It's the server. I clicked on the wrong one. Let's go back and find the dial policy, because that's the one I actually care about. I'll select AWS Clint 2, click save, and when I do that, give it like, I don't know, 5-10 seconds. Do. Come on. There it goes. Right there. AWS Clint 2 has a service. We'll go back and we'll do the same thing on our local policies, dial policy, find the deb clint 2, click save. You can use attributes too. You don't have to do this individually. You can give attributes. And all right, see how quickly that came. There's a poll window every 15, I think it's every 15 seconds. It'll check for updates. And that's also changing to a push model at some point. All right, so we've done a whole bunch of stuff there. Let's see. I think I covered the discourse user, the first one with the local Debian install. I think I covered the Amazon install as well. And let's go back and look at the question that Colin asked. Any chance we can incorporate host anywhere? Yep. Network into an AWS server? Yep. And then connecting to a simple web server hosted in AWS, but not using Docker. Well, I cheated, maybe. So let's do one more thing. Let's go back to our Amazon land and Python. I don't have it. So this is what I do. I type Python, Python, simple HTTP server, one line. And how to launch Python server in one line of code. Right there, Python 3, HTTP server. I never remember. So let's go ahead and launch that. Already in use. How do I give it what's the port number? All right, we'll just guess. Let's see if 9,000 works. Oh, hey, it does. Cool. So you can launch a HTTP server just like that to port 9,000. Oh, notice it's listening on all interfaces. Let's put it on 29,000 so that it's up high. It's not someplace I can get at it. We'll go back to our console. We'll go back to our services. We'll make a new service. This will be Python test. And then who can access the service? AWS Clint 2, py.test on port 80, because it's going to be HTTP, which hosts it, the edge router. Again, local host 29,000. Click the save button, chug. Go over and see my Amazon identity has, oops, I turned it off. Amazon identity has 2. Let's go to http py.test. And whammo, just like that. Now you have access to the Python server that's right there. You go back to the Python server, you turn it off, you come back, you hit refresh, and it's gone. All right, so I covered that real fast, but that's how easy it is. It really is. It's just that easy. All right. And let's see, I think the next question that Colin had was about second router. Okay. We'll do this in Amazon because it is, if you use the quick start, if we go to .ziti and then quick start and then whatever your host name is, and oops, I won't control Q. Okay. Calm down. There you go. VIP.yaml. When you go and make the quick start, you'll get the big old config file. Let's make it. And then when we get to the top, we'll see all of our settings. And as we start scrolling down, we're going to get to this line right here. Now you've run the quick start. I've already given you the whole platitude about it being a learning expedition. And so you can see there's a bug in there, right there. That is not an external address. That is an internal address. It's only good for things that are close to you, right? So the first thing you're going to have to do is fix that. You can actually use the quick start doc. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The quick start doc actually is a little bit wrong here. You can influence this through the environment variables, but it's just not documented. But it's really easy to change. You just get that external address. You go back and you find that advertised location. Where is it in here? And you just fix this. All right. So that's one problem. Now, the next challenge that you run into is there should be an edge router in here. Yeah. There's the edge router. So now you got to go to the edge router and you'll see the same problem because the doc is wrong. We'll fix that. And then you'll see this problem, 10,080. Remember before, way at the beginning, hopefully you were watching the whole entire stream. And if you were, boy, you're a trooper. I hope you're enjoying yourself. But this port is not overridden by the dock either, at least not at this time. And so we can either change this to, 8555 or 8444, I think. Actually, let's see if 8444 is open. LNTP grep 8444. Hey, it's open. So we'll use 8444 just to keep it in the same lineage, 8444. You write your quit, and now you sudo systemctl stop ZD controller, ZD router, and now you start them. And now port 8444 should be listening, and it is. Cool. That fixes your quick start. All right. Now I did that in like a minute because it's 3:57 local time. So maybe you'll have to pause, go back and watch the video again. But you just got to fix that. That's important. And you got to make sure that this port 8444 is open. So the way Clint does that is with open SSL S client connect. And then you connect to 8444. If you can connect there, even if you get a 20 return code, that's cool. That means everything works. It's open. Things will be good. So let's do let's create a router. Actually, we're going to log in first. So let's do ZD Edge. Actually, my ZD list edge list identity. Oops, identities. Okay, cool. ZD Edge create router router 2. We'll call it router 2, and we'll say this is a private router, meaning I'm going to run it in my local computer router 2.jwt. I think that's nope. What's the ZD Edge create? Oh, it's an edge router. Edge router. ZD Edge create edge router 2 -o router 2. All right. So now I made the router. Let's come back to my home computer and we'll see the temp on this, and we'll scp. What directory was I in when I did that? Okay, root good. From cd AWS, we'll get the router 2.jwt and we'll bring it down to here. All right, let's make a directory, call it router 2, and we'll move router 2 to router 2, and we'll cd to router 2. And the reason why I made a directory is because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a config file. So ZD create config will show you that you can make a router config file. Let's make a router config file, and it's going to be edge. And when we make an edge one, we'll see ZD create config router edge. I need to give it a name. My router. Let's see, Clint local router. Whoops. Because it works, it just dumps everything out and you can look at it, which is cool. It'll use whatever directory you're in as its working directory. It'll expect to find your controller at your host name. It'll have the wrong port, right? So things are not rosy. Let's see, is there anything else I can set in here? Yeah, private is the other thing. So I don't want this router, it's private, it's behind my firewall. I don't want it to tell other routers to try to connect to it. So I'm going to mark it as private. And that just means don't connect to me. You don't have to use these flags. You can do this on your own. And I'm going to enable tunneler mode of host. All right, it's default, but I'm going to enable it. And this will create a config file. And I'm going to send that config file to router2.yaml. And then I'm going to vi router2.yaml, and we're going to inspect it. And so the controller's endpoint, echo external DNS, is going to be the externally available endpoint that has a certificate with the SANs that matches. And if that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry, but probably got to read up on PKI. It just means that the subject alternate naming field in your certificate has to have an address that matches however you're accessing it. In this case, it will. And then you have to know the port. It's not 10,080. I changed it to 8444. And I think that's everything. Oh, you'll also have an edge binding. So your local router is useful because you can have things connect to this local router. And so if you have an edge binding, things can advertise, the local router. And so I can actually leave SG4 in that mix. But whatever you advertise needs to be down here in the CSR section because it's going to create a PKI. All right, we're almost done. ZD router enroll. Give it a config file, and then give it a JWT. And the config file is router2.yaml, and the JWT is router2.jwt. And let's hope I did it right. Hey, registration complete. First try. I mean, like no applause. That's amazing. Nothing ever works in the first try. Now I should be able to do a ZD router run. Give it a config file, router2.yaml. And when I do that, if I did everything correctly, and I didn't, it would have connected. But you can see error connecting to the controller, TLS unable to connect to the controller for reasons. Now is where the fun part begins because we have to understand what those reasons are. Is the port open? So let's see, 3022 warning, TLS. Let's do our open. Oh, wow, it won't exit. That's a bug. All right, I have to tell Paul or Andrew about this one. All right, let's come back to my home computer and do a kill ps -ef pipe grep for ZD. Should be just one. Kill all ZD. Hello? Wow, that is determined to keep running. Kill the, we'll do 9. Boom. Okay. And so let's do it. Where's the URL? Let's figure out what we screwed up. Open SSL S client connect paste 20. That's right. No ALPN. That's fine. So we connected. Let's see. Oh, I need to let's see. Dev null pipe it back into open SSL X509 text. And let's see what these SANs are. It says it's valid for this. So it should be, all those things look good. It should be happy. Now the real question is, why is it not happy? Well, this might be more than I can do in the next 2 minutes. It's probably going to take like 15. Let's run this one more time and just see if we get any extra information back out. Starting attempts 8444. That all looks good. Endpoints doesn't exist. Connecting the controller. TLS internal. Oh, does it not? No. Internal error. Unable to connect to the controller. Did I? Let's see. CD temp and router2 vi router2.yaml. Is the advertised address wrong? That seems okay. Does it not need a TLS? I think it does. No unable to. Oh wow, that's fun. 30 seconds and timed out. Unable to connect to the controller. I wonder. I don't know. Oh, okay. So let's look at the controller and see what it says. SSH CTAWS journal CTL ZD controller. Handshake failed. It's as though the bundle is incorrect in some way. That is really interesting. I just ran the quick. Oh, this is probably from my tunneler. Let's turn off the tunneler and turn it back on again. Did that not turn off? Waiting. Yeah, that was from the identity that I destroyed. I forgot about that. Well, this is going to be interesting. Interesting. I don't know where those are coming from either. It seems like it's coming from the client, doesn't it? No. Yeah. Bad certificate. I wonder what I messed up along the way. I kind of went fast. What could I have screwed up? Well, yeah. I don't know. This is good. I'm going to have to figure out what I screwed up here. That's the basic gist of it. If you are having troubles with getting your second router to work, let me know. Maybe you've hit the same problem I fit here. I did. Sometimes when I do these things, I go a little fast, so you'll forgive me. I might have screwed something up. Let's make a new router. Let's do a Ziti Edge, CD AWS, CD login, login. Where's the login? How about controller? That's curl. All right, I'm going to do it out here instead. Ziti login. Ziti Edge, create Edge router R3-OR3.jwt. All right, CD mkdir R3, CD R3, SCP, CD AWS R3.jwt to dot. Create config router edge. I'm going to call this R3. Private tunneler to R3. vir3.yaml. All that looks fine. Set the endpoint again. Delete and echo $external DNS. Oops. :1, no, 844. Oh, that's what I screwed up. Router router 2 YAML. That is what I screwed up. Okay. So this port is not 8444, it's 8440. And I forgot because I had fixed both of them at the same time. YAML. Yeah, remember this? 8440, not 8444, because that is the router, not 8440, which is the. Okay, well, good. Let's see if we can start router 2 again. So, whoa, I just closed the window? No. All right. CD2 temp and router 2, CD router, and then we give it router2.yaml. Okay, well, we're closer now. So now we see going, certificate is valid for this, not this, which is a substantial problem with the quick start. So I'm going to do the quick start all over again. Sudo systemctl stop Ziti router, Ziti controller. What this is telling me is the control plane PKI is not valid for the EC2 address. It is only valid for this, which is no good. If you're in this state, I mean, there are other ways to fix. Did I not? Is that taking forever? There are other ways to fix this, but I'm going to just reinstall my entire overlay network because it doesn't take very long. Why is this being so harsh on me? The router is blocking Control-C. Sudo kill -9. You go away. All right, RMRF dot, and I'll show you the difference on how I run the quick start dot ZD. All right, so I've deleted everything out there, including the ZAC. So we've got nothing, which means I can come into here, I can forget this identity, I can turn this off and turn it back on again. All right, so now let's go back out to the, okay, good. Here's the quick start, not the ZAC, host it anywhere. And we'll copy this, pop, nope, echo dollar external DNS, that's already done. Copy this, paste this. We're going to make one little change here. I'm going to actually, I'm going to paste this into a notepad because this is the change I'm going to go try to make the word doc. Who knows? Maybe by the time you're watching this, you're going to go, what are you talking about? You've already fixed this problem. But look at this right here. You see this little bit right here? The edge advertised address. I'm going to change that to be just advertised address. And I think that's going to make all the difference in the world. So now I have ZD. Oh, do I have edge? I have edge advertised port too. That's okay because the controller advertised port is also specified. All right. So I think that's going to make all the difference in the world. And let's go back and copy this. Why didn't you copy that? Copy this, paste that. It's going to do this whole thing again. And let's make sure that it comes online. We're so close. Thanks for sticking in there. Whoever's still watching, if anybody's watching. All right. Amazon not quite as fast as my local computer. We're almost there. We're almost there. Yeah, this bug is weird. I'm going to have to figure out what this bug is because it's preventing routers from stopping when they're in a bad state. PSEF pipe. I'm off screen right now. I'm going to go kill 9. This ZD router that is misbehaving. All right. There was an error while initializing the controller. Wasn't that great? The logs are here, overridden. Oh, man, why you got to be like that? And new key spec was not provided. Well, what a bummer. I thought that was going to make all the difference. It was going to save the day. Controller advertised address. That should be all it's needed. Well, let's do both and see if that makes a difference. Exit, SSH, set all these things all over again. Run express install all over again and see what happens. This will, RM, let's see, rmrf.zd, exit, come back again, paste all this stuff back in and run the quick start, express install. Here it goes. Yeah, we'll keep that, sure. Okay, one last try. This is a bug I have to fix. So if you've hit this, I'm sorry. Boop, 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 doop. Yeah, we're going to just watch the paint dry together. I know how exciting it is. I know I'm super excited to be here, just filling the space with my voice so that you can not be so bored while the paint dries. Nobody's asked any questions. I don't know if there are any. I hope there aren't because I'm not getting any. All right. Hey, looks like it's going better this time around. Good. Now we'll do the sudo system. Come on, spacebar. System. Cdl start. ZD controller. ZD router. All right. So now SSLNTP. I have to do the same things because I did the quick start all over again. I've got to go and fix the quick start all over again. VIZD, quick start IP, IP.yaml, SSHCD AWS. And then we'll want to, where is it? Oh, I'm going to also put this on my buffer. 8440 was set, but we needed to fix controller. Why is that? Oh, never mind. I fixed the quick start. Because I fixed the quick start, the advertised address is now correct. All right. And so now hopefully our edge router YAML is also correct. That looks so much better. Look at that. Okay, so all those things look way better already. Good, good. All right, let's do a ZD Edge create. Actually, ZD login, ZD Edge create Edge router. This is going to be local router minus o local router dot jwt edge router. Yeah. All right. CD dot dot make a dir local router CD to local router SCP CD AWS dot slash local router to dot, not to dot comma. Oh no. Okay, now we're going to VI local router dot jwt. That's a JWT file. We're going to do the create config command, and this is going to be local router and this one over here, local router. Now VI local router.yaml, and this we're going to fix, and that is 8440. Get it right, Clint. Leave all the stuff the same. CD router enroll. Give it a config file. Give it a JWT. It should enroll. CD router run. So close. Unable to authenticate to the tunneler. Tunneling is not enabled. Oh, that's funny. So when I made that router, let's see, SSH CD80. I'm so close. When I made the router, CD edge list ERs, I did not make it with tunneling enabled. Create edge router. So see how I did not make it with tunneling enabled? Easiest thing to do is ZD edge delete ER local router, make it again tunneler enabled, like that. This time, SCP that thing back down again, SCP it back down again, do the enroll step all over again, do the run step all over again. And this time, presto changeo, we did it. Nobody believed it could be done, but it was done. CD edge list ERs. Okay. Get ZD edge list ERs. You'll see local router is online. ZD fabric list links. You'll see there is a link, and I did it. I fought through. Nobody believed it could happen. It was the most amazing save you've ever seen. This is one for the ages. So you saw real-time debugging. Getting these things correct is very finicky, like you saw. I goofed up one little port, 8440 versus 8444, and it caused me 15 minutes of consternation. You know what? And it costs you 15 minutes of consternation, and I'm sorry for that. But I think we've covered everything, Colin. I hope you made it to the end. I don't know if you will or if you won't, but hopefully you did. And that'll be this week's Ziti TV. So thanks for sticking in there a little bit longer than normal. Hope you enjoyed. We covered a lot of ground, saw a lot of stuff. Hope it was fun, and we'll see you next.